So, you can see this is before the spread, so I'm just shuffling, but stuff is coming through, and sometimes I like to record beforehand. So, because, you know, what's coming through now may not connect to the past life. So, just connect however you can with this, and if you can't connect, it's totally fine. Just tuck in the back of your mind for a later time, okay? So what is coming through is like a staircase, and it's like carpeted in a coral carpet, okay? So it's in a, it feels like the staircase, it's in a place where like otherwise the walls are kind of like either white or cream kind of thing, and this in the carpet's just, it's coral carpet, and it feels like something that would be a memory of, like, let's say like how it feels to remember your grandparents' house kind of thing. So again, this might connect with the past life, we'll see, but if it doesn't, just connect however you can. It can simply be this, if you can connect and it's not connected to the past life, it can be from your own life, a memory that could be either one, something you're supposed to be remembering at this time for some reason to work through some kind of something, or it could be the color coral speaks to you in some way, whether it's the decor of your own home or what you would like, and it can also be that the color coral could be that the energy or frequency of that color may be beneficial to you if you feel pulled to it. So that's like the kind of thing where people get stones of certain colors. It's not that, it's like the stones, like crystals or whatever, they have a color and they hold a frequency because that color that they are is also the frequency kind of thing. So it could be that kind of thing where it's just the energy or the frequency might be either useful to you in your life right now, or you're drawn to it for some reason, and it could be just the opposite, where you just might totally despise it, and it could be linked to the past life of why you might despise it. So yeah, just connect however you can. I know it's kind of random and weird, but let's go ahead. I'm going to finish shuffling and we're going to get into the past life spread. Alright, so here is the past life spread. So we're going to go to where you were, what you did with the majority of your time, an important day with the relationships and feelings involved, another important day, relationships and feelings, the death, and the lesson learned. And usually we get hints of time throughout, but we're going to put that card away just because of where we're going. I'll get there in a sec. So all I'm going to do is relay to you the images and impressions that are coming through, and your job is going to be to try to make connections where you can based off of what comes through here and your current life, and I'll try to help however I can, okay? So keep in mind there are a couple ways you can connect: direct and opposite connections. Direct connections is when you directly connect or resonate with what's coming through. An opposite connection is when you, for example, if someone were to die in a past life of drowning, they may come back and be very scared of swimming or water or that kind of thing, or be afraid of drowning for no reason. So keep in mind the kinds of connections you could be making, and you might want to grab a notebook and pen because a lot tends to come out. Yeah, so let's go ahead and start. And what's interesting is that the coral thing from before might actually fit into this, but it doesn't mean it's not going to be echoing in your life in a different way as well. So just, you know, however you connected with that. But what's coming to mind right away, it feels like we're looking at a female aspect here, and it feels like, okay, so what's coming through is the idea of, you know, that movie, The Little Mermaid, the like that Disney movie, The Little Mermaid. There is a scene where they are eating in a dining hall that has a huge window by the sea, and I want to say that that visual is going to be as close to what I can get, or what I can tell you is where we're spending time with here, at least now. And so where we're going, this is the Atlantis and Lemuria card. Okay, so this card comes up. I put the time card away because time doesn't really do its thing here like it does in our current timeline, like how we read time or care about time. They don't. I just always turn the time card away. Okay, so this Atlantis Lemuria card, Atlantis, to me is has more of an aggressive energy, more like masculine based energy, whereas Lemuria is more passive feminine. And both of them, neither good nor bad, no judgment in that way, just that's how it's read. And it feels like we're going to Atlantis, and I had a recent Atlantis reading too, and these are coming through for a reason, right? So whether or not you believe in Atlantis, for example, if you do believe in it, well, here you go. You know, there's the connection. But if you don't believe in it, this isn't to sway your belief system. This is to just, usually if that's the case, it's to bring up the idea of mystery and play and curiosity and magic and that kind of thing. So if you're someone who's not sold on the idea of Atlantis being a thing, it could very well be coming up just to get you to open your mind to possibilities. And it can indicate in your current life that there may be places where you know that you are mentally or emotionally closed off in regards to your own possibilities, as far as like paths to take to pursue dreams that maybe you once had but have put up on a shelf somewhere, or have ignored or denied because you feel like you don't have qualifications for it. That kind of thing, where this would be a message of, hey, don't limit yourself, rather open yourself up to possibilities without any expectations. Just open yourself up and allow whatever, I guess I want to say, allow the magic to play its part in your life. It's the kind of thing where it's like, when I say magic, I'm not talking about like witnessing a mirror, you know, like what's it called? Like a fireworks show of miracles kind of thing streaming out of the heavens kind of deal. It's more subtle. You know, it's like moments when you get like caught up in the beauty of a moment and you feel invincible, or you feel more than just human, or, you know, like those things. Like, allow yourself to play with those moments that come into your life rather than maybe disregard them, or almost like the idea of, if you're someone where you find yourself very like tied to reality, being realistic, serious in a sense, I suppose, in that way, open up to approach things with more playfulness. And I'm not saying you're not playful or anything like that, or you're not fun. I'm not saying that. It's just check in with yourself to see where you may be limiting yourself when it comes to possibilities in your life. Okay? That's basically, in a nutshell, what this feels like. That's if you connect with the idea of like not believing in this kind of thing. And it's not to get you to believe it again, it's just to open up to possibilities in your life. But this feels like we're going to Atlantis, which indicates, you know, an old soul, as far as like, yeah, all souls are old because we all come from source, sure. But when we talk about old soul as a human, it's specifically as a human, like being human, being on the earth plane for a long time. And that's what we get here. And an old soul doesn't mean you are someone where you walk around carrying the weight of a burden that people can sense and you're so serious. That does not mean old soul. Old souls can be playful and fun because they realize, hey, we're here on earth to have an experience and not take things too seriously, you know, that kind of thing. So just consider that and keep that in mind, and just make connections however you can with that. Let's see, so, right, so because this is Atlantis, the feeling here, like I said, like, oh, aggressive, masculine kind of thing, that doesn't mean violent or anything. It just means, like, I want to say characteristics usually come through as being bold or opinionated, knowing what you want, you know? And if that's the case, I want to say it's really tied to this aspect here where what she does with the majority of her time is food. And again, that Little Mermaid image coming through, and if you haven't seen it, you know, you want to check out the scene. You got to see that dining room with the window in the sea and the ocean in the background. And it's stunning and beautiful, and that's the aesthetic here. And it's regal. What am I trying to get? It's elegant and regal. And I almost want to say this aspect had a vision to get there, and it's almost like there is this place where it's like, okay, maybe it, like, because I don't know if there's like kings or presidents, or, you know, who ran the whole show in Atlantis. I have no idea, but it feels like we are going upscale. We're going like to the top echelon kind of thing, and that's why we are in such a beautiful environment. And you in your current life, you might like elegance, beauty, sophistication, regal, that kind of aesthetic might really pull you in. I don't know how else to describe it. It's polished, it's clean, it's I mean, I don't know how else to describe it, but so you might connect with that aesthetic, as in that's an aesthetic when you see photos of it, you might just relish in it. You might love it. You might want to make your own home that way. That might be your ideal home, is not just that, but also the idea of like windows, the view, the environment itself. So if you are someone that is very keen on having a good view from your daily whatever, even if it's just where you work or where you live, the environment and the view that you have may be very important to you. In fact, you might not, if you haven't considered it yet, you want to consider it, because if you feel stagnant, or if you feel like not as productive or uplifted during the day, throughout the day, it could very well be your environment and the view that you have. You might get very inspired by views and not even know it. But you might know it if you're someone who might see a photograph of a beautiful place and it instantly lifts you, or it captures your mind, or it's the kind of thing where you're like, God, I wish I was in that place, like that kind of thing. So just in case you are living in an environment right now where you do not have a view or the right view, I would suggest that you go somewhere where there is a view and see how it makes you feel compared to where you are now. And if it makes you feel more inspired, then that is telling you that you need to do something about your view. And I know that's hard. It's like, well, I can't just up and move, to a new house or whatever and get a pretty view. That could mean make sure that your aesthetic around you every day, your bedroom or your workspace or whatever it is, make sure that you take care to decorate it in a way that is inspiring and uplifting. And it could very well be in a way that we were talking about before, as far as like the look of like posh or polished, very just like regal, and I don't know how else to put it. It's like gold lines, and see, that's where the coral comes in, because I feel like the gold is going with the coral, almost like rose gold. I don't know if you like rose gold, but it has that feel of like the sunset. If you've ever heard of golden hour, look up golden hour. It's the light that hits. So lighting might actually play into your life. You might be inspired if you put yourself in a certain light, literally. Like if you literally have lights like as part of the aesthetic, that you just might be someone that is inspired by lights. It could be different colors, whatever it might be. I know it's kind of random, but it's coming through for a reason. So basically, in a nutshell, is like, just be aware of your environment and how it's affecting you, and whether or not it's making you feel like stuck or stagnant or sluggish versus inspired and uplifted and motivated, right? So so if you're feeling the other way, just see if it may be your environment, basically. And it could just be simply fixed with some decoration or paint job, like that kind of thing. This can also pertain to how you dress. You might be someone that likes jewelry, but not just, it would be like elegant, sophisticated, either like gold or silver, like platinum, like something like that is what's coming through. And if you don't wear jewelry, you might want to try wearing that kind of jewelry to see what it does and how it plays on your mindset, your mood, and your confidence. And also your attire. Like, it's the aesthetic, really, and it's really coming through hardcore here. So however aesthetic plays into your life, make the connection and make changes necessary in order to feel a different way. Because I feel like the aesthetic of your environment and what you surround yourself with is going to play big time into your psyche, or whatever. So just make connection with that. Now the food thing, yeah, the dining room comes in, but it feels like there's something, quite frankly, I'm not getting that you're like a chef or something. It more so feels like this aspect of you is either the decorator of the room, but more so it would be someone for, this is real, I've never gotten this before, so it's might sound a little weird how I say it, but what's coming through is the idea of someone who is hired to buy and lay out plates and silverware and the napkins and the basically like the layout of the meal times, and as far as like, even if there's like a banquet or a dinner being like hosted, like a large dinner, like this person takes care of the layout before every meal is served. So how you might connect with that, I mean, literally, if you are someone that likes plates, like the design of plates, even like if you go to, this is gonna sound crazy, but if you've ever gone to a museum, and you know how sometimes museums have like historical plates, you know, like China or whatever, like historical plates, if you are ever drawn to that kind of thing, that would be a connection. We're looking at someone who has like very refined taste, like utter refined, elegant, sophisticated taste in plates and silverware. If you are someone that you've like, it's gonna sound so weird, you might like silverware. Like you might notice like fork prongs that are longer than usual, or you might like small spoons, find them cute. In particular, you know, like, I know it's weirdly specific, but like that's what's coming through. And if not, that's fine. Just connect with what you can. You don't want to force a connection, and what you may not connect with, tuck in the back of your mind for a later time, okay? Because just don't force anything. But yeah, so that's what will be coming through, and you might just be someone who, in your life, you just might like setting the table. Like, that's what this is. It's like a table setter, but like a high-end designer / table setter. You know, like this is not a servant. This is not someone that cleans up either. This is like an artist, okay? So that's what we're looking at here. And maybe that's coming through for you to realize that you might be an artist without realizing it, because who would see setting the table as an art form? But it is. So that would make me want to say to you, look at your life and what you do, and what do you do in your life that you can call artwork or an art form that you haven't realized is actually creative. But it might seem like a daily, almost mundane task, like setting the table, but it's a true art form. So just some food for thought, you know, no pun intended. And then, oh, you might actually enjoy, this would be like specifically like if you enjoyed like kitchen decoration and dining decoration and dining room decoration, and the layout of, like, if you ever seen like a banquet and the food served, if that really pulls at you, like the aesthetic of it, like that kind of thing, like even the linen on the table, you know, whatever it might be on the table, tablecloth, that's what it's called, that kind of thing. So just make connections with that however you can. And yeah, so keep making connections. We are going to go ahead and move to the first important day. Okay, so here we have the conquered, they have come, and welcome card. So this is when we're seeing people coming into the vicinity, we'll say, or into the region or whatever, and we're looking to see if they are allies or enemies, but we're looking at newcomers for some reason. And then here we have the soulmate card. Now a soulmate is not always romantic, and a soulmate is not always one in a lifetime. Everyone that we have interactions with and connect with are, in a weird way, our soulmates if we are learning from them in some way. So this can be one person or a group of people, just something to keep in mind, and also something to consider as well in your own life when it comes to, you know, people say, oh, soulmate, we're supposed to be together forever, and it's like, well, it could also be for a reason or a season. As long as you're just learning a lesson, that's a soulmate. So something almost like, I want to say, not to put a soulmate on a pedestal kind of deal. And then the feeling here is the content card, like peaceable, content, happy kind of thing. So it feels like we're looking at allies, but it also feels like literal allies, as in like this place is the place of what we would consider, I feel like, royalty. But I guess again, I can't say like what kind of royalty they had back then, or like the kind of status they were, but it feels like whoever's in charge of this region of Atlantis or whatever it might be, they're meeting with other people who are coming in who are in charge of another region, and they're sitting down to dinner. And that's their meeting. I feel like there's something where eating over a meeting is something these people do, like regularly. Like it's more normal to have a meeting about politics or war over food versus just like in a boardroom or a conference room, actually, which I think would be smart for us to do in this timeline, quite frankly, because food makes people happy. But yeah, so it feels like this is an important day because it feels like for your job, you take this very seriously. Not that you didn't before, but it feels like this is a big moment for you, right? So it's like you make it lavish and you make it beautiful and you really pour your heart and soul into this project, because that's what it is to you. It's a project. And it's interesting because what's coming through is the idea that to anyone else, they'll admire it and they'll be like, this is beautiful work, wow, but it's not, they don't know the effort put into it. They just see a beautiful table and they're like, oh, the servants must have laid down some stuff and blah blah blah, but you are behind the scenes before everyone gets there, right? And you're there directing everyone. You're talking to the chefs what they're cooking, finding the platters that are appropriate and the placement for it. There's a lot of work and effort that goes into this. So this could be coming through because in your current life, you might not feel like you're given your due or credit for as much effort or work that you put into something because people don't see the work put into it. And so it's almost like it would be the feeling like you get things done and you make things happen, and like almost like it's like how like moms are not appreciated for all of the effort they do. You know, if you're a mom and you have kids, you would know. So it's that feeling where people don't realize how much work and effort went into this, but that doesn't bother her. So it might not bother you in your current life. You might feel fine with that. It's about accomplishing it, and she pulls it off. So as long as she pulls off exactly what the vision she had in her mind was, she is content, and that's it. And that just might be a message in case you don't feel satisfied, like in case there's something in you that wants others to acknowledge your hard work and your effort. There's nothing wrong with that, but just make sure that you are patting yourself on the back and loving yourself for all of that effort first and foremost. Because if you don't get that from other people, at least for yourself, acknowledge yourself to the utmost, okay? And don't feel any lesser, don't allow yourself to feel lesser or smaller if others don't acknowledge your work, your effort, or you in the way that you feel that you deserve. And you do deserve it. But just make sure you're not make sure you're not placing your happiness based on what others are, based on like external validation is what we're getting at. Make sure that you are validating yourself first and foremost. And almost like I want to say, don't even look for the validation, and it will come from outside when you're not even looking, kind of thing. So just make sure you are taking care of your own happiness and peace of mind. And whatever you're working on, we'll say, like whatever it is that you might be working on, check in with yourself. I want to say when it comes to the intention. So it's the kind of thing where if you're writing a book, you really can't think of the audience while you're writing a book. You need to write from your heart and write that book and get it out and get it done. And then you start tweaking it, you know, according to like the age group you're writing for or the market or whatever that is, that comes later. But you have to get the book out, and the only way to do that, if you're thinking of who's going to like it the whole time you're writing it, you're not going to write authentically. You're not going to get your voice out the way it should get out. You'll be giving a voice to something that you feel it would be pleasing to others rather than yourself when you're writing for a different audience rather than yourself. Does that make sense? So I'm not saying you're writing a book, but this is any project when you're working, and I'm talking about like your own endeavors, not like working for a boss to get a project done for them, but like working on your own creative endeavors or like even your own business. You first and foremost need to be doing it for yourself. The intention needs to be to feed your soul, not to satisfy other people. Even if it is a business or a service or a project that is intended to help others, if first and foremost you need to feed your soul, okay? Just that's what I want to say there. So keep making connections where you can with that. Now, the soulmate card, I'm trying to see what's, because it felt, when I laid this card out, it felt like somebody was coming in. Hold on. Okay, so what's really interesting is it feels like the people who are coming in, what's it called when it's a group of people, like the convoy, or there's a word specifically coming through for some reason, so go ahead and Google either convoy or envoy or something like that, where it's a group of people and like an entourage, and the entourage has their own person who works with like kind of doing what you do, and it feels like you meet this other person, and it's like I want to say, instead of enemies, you know, like instead of rivals, if there's any rivalry or competition, it's healthy, because it feels like you guys become fast friends, like best friends. Almost like I want to say you've both heard of each other because you're in the same industry. So it's kind of like two celebrity chefs meeting each other and getting along so well. And it's like you guys don't clash. It's you basically, you meet your best friend of your lifetime now. And it's someone you, like, both of you admired each other from afar, having heard of each other but never met each other. And now it's like you're both meeting like your celebrity crush. And you guys are having a great time. That's what this feels like. I love this. Okay, so the content card is because this night went well overall, but for you, it was extraordinary, and you weren't even in the dinner. You know what I mean? Like, you're not in the meeting or the talks, but it's like once dinner is served, you know, and all the servants take over everything, and you've done your job, you and your friend, you guys, I feel like you guys like go off and drink and have a great dinner yourself, like you're just drinking and having a good time. This could be coming up in case, one, you've been thinking of an old friend that you want to touch base with. Two, you might be meeting someone, either now you might be in the meeting phase right now, or about to meet someone that's going to just sing to your soul. So, and this could also be like if you know you're about to meet someone, and this does not have to be romantic at all. Right here, I'm not feeling romance, at least not yet. And it just feels like two long lost best friends meeting for the first time, or re-meeting again, like, you know, that kind of thing. Like, definitely soulmates. Not just soulmates, coming in and out of lifetimes together multiple times over and over, like soul family. This is soul family. So it's interesting too, because they didn't meet until like later on in life. This isn't like they're not soul family, like they grew up together. They didn't meet till they were well established in their careers. So that also is something where when you pursue your passion and you are walking a path that is your calling, we'll say, that makes you happy and feel fulfilled and that kind of thing, it's going to bring you the right people, and also the people who are on their soul path as well. And those are the people you want to meet, because you're meeting people who are content with their life, and those people are not going to clash with you. They're going to want to encourage you, and they're going to want you to be happy and you them, because you're both walking the path you're meant to walk on, and you know it and feel it, right? So if you feel like you are not on your path right now, you need to listen to your intuition and where that's guiding you, because once you step onto the right path, and I'm not saying you're not on the right path. If you feel like you're on the right path, that's great. Then that's what attracts your tribe. So just be open to your tribe starting to file in if they haven't already, you know? This person in particular, this is going to be someone, it's going to feel like you've known them a long time even though you just met them. It's going to feel like you want to sit and have a drink with them all the time and just gab and just like be your most authentic self, laugh in a way that's just ridiculous. That's what this feels like. If anyone comes to mind, by the way, that's who we're talking about. Trust that your higher self or your intuition is telling you this is that person, if someone's coming to mind. If no one's coming to mind, that person, this might connect or click later on after this reading where you're like, oh yeah. But if no one comes to mind, stay open and see who starts to come in. You know, people are going to start filing into your life. See who comes into your life that makes you feel this way. It's a really good feeling. It's it's almost like the feeling of like, God, it's been a long time coming. Like you've been waiting to have this connection, this feeling with another person. This like ease, carefreeness, being yourself, that kind of thing. You've been this aspect of you feels like it's, oh, I've been waiting, you know, like not knowing it until it happens. So it's that kind of thing too, where there are things you just don't know you want until it comes into your life. And your job is to be open and receiving and accepting of it when it feels really good and right. When something feels good and right, that is worth making changes, shifts, alterations for in order to maintain that feeling in your life. You know, like when it comes to this kind of thing, not in the way of chasing it, just in the way of adjusting it. If that is even like the case, because basically what I'm talking about is making compromises perhaps that don't feel like compromises. You know what I mean? Yeah. So anyway, keep making connections where you can here. This is also speaking to just like the joy of your job. And again, following the path that is calling you, following your calling, and it will present you with these magical moments when you are focused on your purpose, focused on your calling, focused on you, and what's it called, building your own personal life. You're going to get these nuggets of magic coming in. Period. It's going to happen. So just make sure that you are prioritizing your joy, your happiness, focusing on your purpose, you know, what you're meant to be doing here. And it doesn't have to be this big, you know, royal kind of thing. It could be just being a mom if you're a mom. I don't know why I keep bringing that up. It could just be being, you know, just whatever it is that you're doing that feels fulfilling, okay? So it doesn't have to be so grand, but at the same time, if your calling is so grand, then great, you know, just follow your calling, whatever it may be. But keep making connections here. We're going to go to the next important day. This is the birth card, and the relationship is the child card, and this is the neutral card. All right, so what pans out here is it feels like you two end up getting married or coming into union with each other after all. It does become romantic, but at first it's not romantic. At first it is playful and friendly, and it's like two old best friends coming back together, and then it turns romantic because it's like you can't help yourself just because the chemistry is just so good. But it is grounded and founded in friendship. I feel like that's coming through for a reason, and that would be here. So, for example, in your current life, if you are in a relationship and it's going well, it's very likely it's because it is founded and grounded in friendship. If you're in a relationship and it's not going well, it's likely because that person does not feel like your best friend, at least not anymore if it ever was. If you are not in a relationship, the one you are looking for will be your friend first. So if you're not in a relationship, you want to ground it in friendship first, okay? And that's going to be a keeper and it'll last a long time if that's the case, if you're not in a relationship right now. So keep that in mind. It could be, if you're not in a relationship, you might actually be in the mode right now of becoming friends with someone in a very like good way. Just basically just, you know, sit back and see what's going on as far as the relationship area of your life in regards to friendship as well, okay? But anyway, it turns into romance, and down here what we're seeing is the start of a family. However, what I can say is that it was an unexpected pregnancy. So this feels like it's almost like the neutral card comes in because you are neither excited nor upset about the pregnancy, and same with your friend / partner. And I'm not even sure if there is marriage here, quite frankly. It does feel like a partner and a steadfast partner for life. But I don't even know if marriage is like how we think of marriage is what they want or whatever it is. But they are connected. They're partners, and there's no backing out of that just because they are such good friends and they can't live without each other. But the unexpected pregnancy, both of them, they're neither, you know, super stoked. They're not like super stoked, and they're not like put down. They're just kind of like, well, I guess this is the next step of our journey together. okay, let's try this out, you know, like that kind of thing. So this could actually pertain to how you might feel in your current life about marriage, versus just partnerships, you know, not just partnerships. Partnerships, a lot of partnerships actually last longer than traditional marriages. But it's how you feel about it, you know, and also how you feel about having kids. And how you feel about even pregnancy or unexpected pregnancy. You could have experienced unexpected pregnancy in this life as an echo, because this turned out to be good. It turned out to be it turned out to be a happy situation, we can say. But that's because the partnership was so grounded in friendship. That's the only reason this turned out so well. It's because it was thought of as a togetherness thing, okay? So there was no like sides to this. This was us, not you versus me kind of thing, like, you know, that kind of thing. So this is also not a thing where if you find yourself pregnant and in unexpected pregnancy, this is not telling you that, oh, go for it because it happened here, you know, do what you feel is right for you. But it, you know, if that's the case in your life, but you know, I'm not saying it is. But yeah, just however you might connect to having kids, starting a family, marriage, that kind of thing, because it's an interesting flow here. I don't want to say it's super unusual because we see this happen a lot, but it is unusual in how grounded and level-headed these people are about it. And I want to say it's because they're so content and successful first with pursuing their passions in life and getting to a certain point in their reputation and in their work, that for this to happen, it's okay because they already know who they are before they create the family. Versus we see a lot of people creating families when they're, you know, like basically kids having kids, so to speak, before they've really like made a mark in the world or pursued their passions in life. They're having children and getting married, and that leads sometimes to discontent, because they haven't like become self-fulfilled yet, if that makes sense. So we're looking at people who are doing it in a way where self-fulfillment came first, and then the friendship, then the union, then the pregnancy, the family. So it's that kind of thing. But yeah, so keep making connections where you can here, but it feels so good. This feels so nice. So we're going to go ahead and go to the death card. So this is the disease and illness card. I'm trying to see what's coming through with this. What are we getting? Disease and illness. Well, the only thing coming through is breathing. So there's something with... It's almost like, hold on, breathing. Taking something in when you breathe. I don't know if it's a hard time breathing or if it's having breathed in something over the course of a lifetime in the place. It's almost like, honestly, it's like whatever, it's almost like the feeling of if there were chemicals used to clean or to preserve certain dishes and platters and things that this person, this aspect, worked with. It's almost like being around that so much might have affected her interior. Like breathing in like polishing fluids. Like, it's almost like if you were like working around cars and you just breathe in exhaust all day, every day, but only like a little amount every time, and then it adds up over a life and causes bad breathing kind of thing, but it's not that severe here. It just feels like it does something where for a long time at the end of the life, for a while, there is something where it's like not being able to quite get a full breath all the time. So we're looking at someone who's almost like not breathing fully for many years, but it happens so gradually that it's like she doesn't really notice it until almost like she has to start to audibly gasp for breath. But it's still not like as, it's not as like traumatic as it sounds. It's just like a like that kind of thing where it gets to that point. So that's what it feels like. So it just kind of lessens the life. It doesn't full on like just like one day she keels over. It's not like that. It just feels like it lessens quality of life and then takes maybe some years off, but nothing crazy. So we're looking at breathing issues. So how you might connect with that, if anything, would just be if you notice that you have, if you're like if you have shortness of breath, or if you do the thing where you might have to like pull in a deep breath every now and then, and it doesn't really mean anything's wrong. I'm not a medical practitioner, by the way, disclaimer, you know, that kind of thing, go see who you need to see. But for here, it wouldn't mean anything's wrong, it just means it's an echo. But, you know, go get checked out if you do have that and you haven't got checked out, you know, go see a medical practitioner, blah, blah. But that's the only thing I could think of. This, the other thing would be if you find that you are sensitive to chemical smells. If there's chemical, almost like even very subtle, very, very subtle, you may be aware that there's something in the air, and then you'll look over and it might even be odorless, and you could still tell that there's chemicals. So that would be interesting to know, but that would be a connection. Otherwise, if no connection, great, you know, but that's all I can get from this. Then what we have to talk about next and last is the lesson card. This lesson card is brain, mind, learning, that kind of thing. And we are seeing someone here who we would technically call left-brained. Very organized, very decisive, very black and white, very, what's the word, tedious, and dare I say, honestly the word anal comes through, but that's because of how the organization is. We're looking at someone where everything has to be perfect, and that's how she got to where she is. So it's almost like I want to say there's nothing wrong with that if, let's say, you connect with that and you are someone that likes perfection and you're organized and tedious and it has to be this way, that kind of thing. There's nothing wrong with that unless you're putting it on a person. She put it on her work, and that's fine because it made everyone happy, because the more perfection oriented she is in her work, the finer the display and the prouder her bosses are, essentially, if that makes sense. Or her employer is, we could say. But when it's done on people, and I'm not saying you do this with people, but you just want to be aware if you do this with people, or if others have said this to you, where they're just like, kind of like, it would just be comments where they would be like, okay, back off, let me do this, like that kind of thing. Just be aware of that. Because if that kind of mindset is put on people, it doesn't belong on anyone else. It just belongs on, with your life, you and your life and what you're doing. So, that's the only thing I can get from that. But there's something, another thing though here also is, because of how this was in this life, very left brain, organized, logical, that kind of thing, it may be that in your current life you're meant to be more creative and use your right brain more. And it could be that you know that, and you might know this about yourself about being creative, which actually would loop in with the aesthetic, but we were talking about the aesthetics before, but in a way where the left brain comes in to help. So when we're actually talking about interior design, so to speak, when we were talking about the environment and aesthetics and decorations from before, that's creative right brain, but it also filters in and balances out with the left brain of organization and where to place this and that. So that's a balancing out, which means in your current life, you may be here to, part of your lesson, to balance out the left and right sides of the brain in a way where they're working together. Which I guess interior design would do that. Just in case you're wondering if you should look a certain way for a new career or a new hobby, if you haven't considered interior design, that actually might be your jam. Just a thought, you know. And if not, that's totally fine. But that would fuse the left and right brain. So I feel like if you're looking for something new to do, or a direction to head in, or even just a hobby for fun, try to find something that fuses the left and right sides of the brain, okay? But keep making connections where you can with that card. And anyway, there is your past life. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're able to make some connections. And thanks for letting me read you.